5 hunters had Ara trapped at a cliff when a voice colder than winter stopped them. Alpha Kale stepped from the shadows, fury rolling off him until even armed wolves backed away. He drove them off without taking his eyes from the cursed Omega. Then Ara, exhausted and trembling, placed her hand in his. The instant their skin touched, silver power stirred inside her, and the Fury King's breath caught. Why did one cursed Omega affect the untamable Alpha in a way no one else ever had? Chapter 1. The forest did not care that Ara was dying. She stumbled through the frozen undergrowth, bare feet striking jagged stones hidden beneath the snow. Every step tore open another cut. Blood marked the ground behind her, a crimson trail leading straight to the wolves hunting her. Their howls echoed through the winter night. Close. Far too close. Her lungs burned with every breath. Cold air scraped through her throat like broken glass, but she forced herself onward. Run. Just keep running. Her body was failing. 3 days without food. 2 days without sleep. And the curse inside her was getting worse. Ara pressed one hand against her chest, as another wave of heat twisted beneath her ribs. The thing living inside her felt awake now, hungry, restless. It wanted out. It wanted blood. Wind screamed through the pine trees, carrying voices from somewhere behind her. Find her! The cursed one cannot escape. Kill her before she shifts. Ara's heart hammered harder. They were afraid of what she might become. Number. They were afraid of what she already was. An abomination. A mistake written into flesh and bone. An Omega who should never have been born. Ara caught herself against the trunk of an ancient oak. The world tilted violently around her. Snow landed softly against her cheeks, almost gentle enough to feel cruel. Everything was freezing. The thin dress she had stolen from a clothesline 2 towns earlier offered no protection against the mountain cold. Her body shook so violently that her teeth knocked together. Move, she whispered to herself. She pushed away from the tree. Don't stop. Another step. Then another. If you stop, you die. Her knees buckled. Ara crashed onto the frozen ground. For several seconds she did not move. Her cheek rested against ice and earth, while white clouds of breath escaped her lips. The cold crept through her clothes and into her bones. It would be easy to stay there, to stop fighting, to let the mountain take her before the hunters did. 3 months ago, everything had changed when her secret had been discovered again. Since then, every path had led to the same thing. Run. Hide. Survive. A broken Omega carrying a curse older than anyone could remember. Please, Ara whispered. She did not know who she was begging. The forest. The moon hidden behind the storm clouds. Any god willing to listen. Please. I can't. Another howl tore through the trees. Closer. Adrenaline flooded her body. Ara dug her fingers into the frozen soil and forced herself upright. Black spots crowded the edges of her vision. One step, then another, then she felt it. That terrible, beautiful movement beneath her skin. Her curse. The thing she had spent years suppressing. The reason her pack had once cast her out. The reason silver had been burned into her forehead. The reason hunters followed her wherever the truth was discovered. The curse was waking. No. Ara stumbled forward. No, 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 not now. Heat spread from the center of her chest. This was not the familiar warmth of an ordinary wolf preparing to shift. This was something else. Something wrong. Silver light appeared beneath the skin of her arms, following her veins like rivers of moonlight. Please, she gasped. Not now. Her body ignored her. It always did. The brand on her forehead began to pulse. Pain exploded behind her eyes. Ara screamed. The sound that tore from her throat was too deep, too powerful, too animal for an Omega who was supposed to be weak. The surrounding trees trembled. Heavy sheets of snow fell from their branches. And in the distance, the hunting party went quiet. They had heard her. They knew what was happening. Ara crashed through a wall of thorny brush. Branches ripped at her dress and cut her skin, but she barely felt them. The curse was rising. Her wolf clawed at the inside of her chest, desperate to emerge. But Ara's wolf had never been like the others. Something ancient had touched it, twisted it, changed it, filled it with silver fury. Ara broke through the tree line and stopped so abruptly she nearly fell. There was nowhere left to run. A cliff dropped away directly in front of her. The edge disappeared into darkness and mist. Somewhere below, water thundered through the ravine. Behind her, branches snapped. The hunters were almost there. Ara could smell them now. Wet fur, pine, and silver. The sharp metallic scent of weapons designed specifically for wolves like her. A male voice cut through the darkness. There. Ara turned. 5 wolves emerged from between the trees. They remained in human form, but their glowing eyes revealed the animals waiting just beneath the surface. At their front stood Garrett, scarred, broad, cruel, the alpha who had been tracking her relentlessly. A silver-tipped spear rested in his hands. Garrett smiled. End of the line, freak. Ara backed toward the cliff. Loose stones rolled beneath her heels and disappeared over the edge. You've caused enough trouble, Garrett continued. I didn't ask for this. Her voice shook despite everything she did to steady it. I didn't choose what I am. You exist. Garrett's expression hardened. That was choice enough. He raised the spear slightly. Your bloodline should have disappeared centuries ago. Ara's veins glowed brighter. Garrett saw it. The wolves behind him shifted uneasily. Whatever is inside you isn't natural, he said. It doesn't belong to the moon. It doesn't belong to the earth. It's poison. Ara could feel the curse recognizing danger. Preparing. Protecting her. That terrified her more than Garrett's spear. Because if she lost control here, she knew what could happen. She might kill all 5 of them. And afterward she might never find her way back to herself. Just let me go, she pleaded. The weakness in her own voice made her hate herself. I'll disappear. You'll never see me again, I swear. Garrett laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. Can't do that. He stepped closer. Council orders. You're too dangerous to live. Ara reached the edge of the cliff. Ara reached the edge of the cliff. There are some things the world is better without. Garrett lifted the spear. The silver tip pointed directly at her heart. Ara's world narrowed until nothing existed except that shining point. Time slowed. She saw Garrett's determination, the fear hidden beneath the expressions of the other hunters, snow drifting between them like falling stars. So this was it. This was how she would die. Alone. Cursed. Unwanted. Garrett drew the spear back. Then a voice rolled through the forest. Touch her, and you'll beg for death before I grant it. Every wolf froze. The voice seemed to come from the darkness itself, deep, controlled, and filled with such absolute fury that even Garrett lowered the spear. Ara stopped breathing. She felt the newcomer before she saw him. Power thickened the air. It pressed against her skin, overwhelming enough to weaken her knees. This was not an ordinary alpha. Not even close. Something far more dangerous was walking toward them. The hunters stepped back almost together. Garrett looked toward the trees, suddenly uncertain. Then a man emerged from the darkness. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the effortless grace of a predator who had never learned to fear anything. Snow caught in his dark hair. Black clothing covered a body built for violence. His golden eyes found Ara across the distance. And the moment they did, the curse inside her flared. Not in rage. Not entirely. Something else moved through her. Recognition. Warning. Hunger. The stranger stared at her as though he had spent his entire life searching for something and had finally found it. Ara had never seen him before. She was certain of that. Yet something inside her whispered that this moment had begun long before either of them reached this forest. Chapter 2. The stranger moved like violence given human form. Every step was measured and controlled, the kind of control that existed only because something monstrous was being restrained beneath it. The hunters moved aside without being ordered. Their instincts understood his rank before their minds accepted it. Ara remained at the cliff's edge, unable to move. The man walked through Garrett's group as if none of them mattered. Maybe to him, they did not. His face was as intimidating as the power surrounding him. Sharp cheekbones. A hard jaw. A scar running from his left temple toward his cheekbone. It looked less like a wound than a warning left by some battle he had survived. Garrett's confidence vanished. Alpha Kale. Real fear entered his voice. We didn't know you were here. We weren't informed. You weren't informed, Kale repeated slowly. Because I don't answer to you. His voice was quieter now, but somehow more dangerous. Or your council, or anyone else in this territory. He stopped several feet from Ara. His golden eyes never left her. She felt pinned beneath his attention. Seen. Examined. Recognized in a way that made every instinct inside her conflict. Part of her wanted to flee. Another part wanted to stay perfectly still. Garrett tried again. This Omega is cursed. Dangerous. The council ordered. I don't care what your council ordered. Something in Kale's voice made the air itself feel unstable. He turned his head just enough to acknowledge Garrett. I'll ask once. Garrett swallowed. Leave. But Alpha, you don't understand what she... Kale looked at him. That was all. Garrett stopped speaking. The blood drained from his face, and he stumbled backward several steps. Then Kale spoke again. She's mine. Ara's heart stopped. And I protect what's mine. Mine? She had never seen this man in her life. She would remember him if she had. No one forgot a man who carried this much power simply by standing still. One of Garrett's hunters gathered enough courage to speak. Alpha Kale, please. There's a prophecy. She's marked with the silver curse. If she shifts, if she loses control, then I'll handle it. Kale did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Now leave before I decide allowing you to walk away was a mistake. It was not a threat. Everyone there understood that. It was a promise. Garrett stared at Ara one last time, hatred fighting with fear in his expression. Then he jerked his head toward his men. Fall back. The hunters obeyed. Garrett pointed at Ara. This isn't over, cursed one. The council will hear about this. Good, Kale said. Garrett paused. Kale's smile carried no warmth. Tell them the Alpha King says they can speak to me directly if they have a problem. Ara's stomach dropped. Alpha King. The title hit harder than the cold. She knew the stories. Everyone did. Kale of the Northern Territories, the Alpha who had united 5 warring packs. The king who had taken power through blood and fury. The man said to have killed his own father for the throne. The ruler who could not be challenged, could not be defeated, could not be tamed. The Fury King. And he was standing between Ara and death. Garrett and his wolves disappeared into the forest. When the last sound of their retreat faded, Ara's strength vanished. She dropped to her knees in the snow. The adrenaline that had kept her alive drained away, leaving exhaustion, pain, and the curse still twisting beneath her skin. Footsteps approached. Kale crouched in front of her. At close range, he was even more intimidating. Gold flecks burned in his eyes. His jaw tightened as though he were fighting something inside himself. He smelled of winter pine, smoke, and something wild enough to make Ara's wolf lift its head. Look at me, he said. Ara did not want to. Looking at him felt dangerous. Still, she raised her eyes. Kale studied the blood on her face, the exhaustion beneath her eyes and the silver brand on her forehead. Something shifted in his expression. Anger, perhaps recognition. How long have you been running? 3 days. Her voice barely worked. Maybe 4. I lost count. Then, before she could stop herself, she added, "And before that, my whole life." The truth came out because she was too exhausted to guard it. Kale's jaw tightened. "What's your name?" "Ara." She should have lied. She knew that. Names were dangerous when you lived as a fugitive, but lying to him felt strangely impossible. "Ara," Kale repeated. The sound of her name in his voice made her pulse jump. "Do you know who I am?" "The Alpha King." Her eyes remained on his. "Kale of the Northern Territories." A pause. "The Fury King." A bitter smile touched his mouth. "They still call me that." "They call you many things." "And what do you call me?" Ara considered him. "A stranger who just saved my life." For the first time, something almost gentle crossed his expression. "Not a stranger." Ara frowned. "Not to you." Her breath caught. "I don't understand." "I know." Kale slowly lifted one hand, moving carefully enough to give her time to pull away. Ara did not. His fingers brushed her cheek. Electricity shot through her body. The curse throbbed. Her wolf surged awake. Neither reacted with fear. They reacted to him. "But you will," Kale murmured. "How do you know me?" Desperation slipped into her voice. "I've never met you. We haven't, have we?" His thumb moved just beneath the silver brand without touching it. "Tell me something, Ara." His eyes held hers. "Have you been dreaming?" Ara went completely still. "Yes." "For months. Forests with no end. Running. Sometimes chasing someone. Sometimes being chased. A shadow she could never reach. Golden eyes. A voice saying her name with a longing that felt like both prayer and curse." "How did you know?" Kale's expression tightened. "Because I've been dreaming too." His voice grew rough. "Every night. A girl with silver fire running through her veins. Always running. Always just beyond my reach." He looked at her. "I could never get to her." A pause. "Until tonight." Ara's thoughts fractured. That was impossible. Wolves did not simply share dreams. Connections that deep existed only under circumstances she refused to consider. "No." She pushed the thought away. "I don't believe in destiny." Her voice betrayed her by trembling. "Neither do I." Kale lowered his hand, and Ara immediately noticed the loss of his warmth. "But I believe what I can see." His gaze traveled over her injuries. "And I see an Omega hunted to the edge of death because of something she never chose and cannot control." He stood and offered his hand. "I know that story." Ara looked at his palm. "I've lived it." Taking his hand felt like stepping over another cliff. "Why are you helping me?" She looked up at him. "You don't know me. You don't know what I've done. What I could do. Don't I?" Something old entered Kale's eyes. "I know you're terrified of your own power." Ara stopped breathing. "I know you would rather die than hurt someone innocent." Her throat tightened. "I know you've spent your life being told you're a monster." His voice softened. "And I know you're not." Tears stung her eyes. Kindness felt more dangerous than hatred. Hatred she understood. "You don't know what's inside me." "Then, show me." Ara stared at him. He was asking for trust. The Alpha King. The stranger who had appeared from nowhere and changed the direction of her life in minutes. She should refuse. She should run. She should choose the cliff before believing anyone might truly want to help her. But she was tired. So impossibly tired. Slowly, Ara reached out. Her hand settled into Kale's. The instant their skin touched, the curse inside her sang. Not a warning. Not hunger. Recognition. Kale inhaled sharply. His fingers tightened around hers by the smallest amount. His golden eyes widened. He had felt it too. "Impossible," he whispered. "What?" Instead of answering, Kale pulled her upright and steadied her when her legs failed. "Can you walk?" "I think so." "Good. We need to move." His attention shifted toward the forest. "Those hunters will report what happened. They'll return with more wolves, and the next group will be stronger. Where are we going?" Kale looked down at her. Possession flashed across his expression. Not the ugly ownership she had known from other alphas. Something protective, unbreakable, somewhere safe. His voice darkened. Somewhere no one will touch you again. His hand closed more firmly around hers. Not while I'm breathing. Ara believed him. That might have been her first mistake. Or perhaps it was the first truly wise choice she had ever made. Chapter 3. They moved through the forest in silence. Kale kept hold of Ara's hand, his warmth anchoring her whenever exhaustion made the world blur. She stumbled more than she walked. Every time her knees weakened, Kale caught her. Everything about him should have frightened her. The predatory precision of his movements, the violence restrained beneath his calm, the reputation of a king who had earned his crown through blood. Yet whenever he looked at Ara, she saw concern. Nothing about that made sense. There is a cave system north of here, Kale said. We'll stop there. Ara forced her aching legs onward. You need rest. I'm fine. Kale stopped. One eyebrow lifted. You're bleeding from at least 5 wounds. You can barely stand, and you're cold enough to be approaching shock. He looked her over. You are not fine. Ara opened her mouth, then closed it. There was no point arguing with the obvious. I can make it. I know. Without releasing her hand, Kale removed his heavy coat and draped it across her shoulders. Warmth surrounded her immediately. The garment smelled like him, pine, smoke, and winter. Ara pulled it tightly around herself. She could not remember the last time anyone had offered her comfort without demanding something in return. They continued. The silence gave her mind too much room. Who was she? That question had followed Ara for 23 years. She had been born in Omega in the Clearwater Pack, a small territory in the eastern mountains. She should have been ordinary, weak by traditional pack standards. Submissive. Forgettable. Instead, her first shift had changed everything. Ara had been 16. The full moon ceremony was supposed to be sacred, beautiful, a moment when young wolves embraced their true forms before the pack. She remembered standing among the others while the elders spoke. Let the moon guide you. Embrace what you are. Ara had obeyed. Then the pain began. Not the normal pain of bones reshaping. Agony. She had screamed until her throat failed. Her packmates had backed away as silver light burst beneath her skin. A normal shift carried warm golden energy. Ara's did not. Her wolf emerged pure white. Silver flames moved across its fur like living markings. Its eyes burned with the same impossible light. Then came the power. Waves of it, enough to force elders to their knees. Someone screamed. Cursed. Another voice followed. She bears the mark of the fallen. Her life ended in that moment. The elders dragged her into their hall after she returned to human form. They restrained her. The head elder heated silver and pressed it against her forehead. Ara could still remember the smell, the pain, her own screams. The mark told every wolf who saw it that she was tainted, dangerous. Something that should not exist. Your bloodline was supposed to die out, the elder told her. His face had not shown anger. It had shown fear. The silver bloods were purged centuries ago. They were too powerful. Too unstable. They nearly destroyed us. I didn't choose this, 16-year-old Ara had sobbed. It doesn't matter. The answer had been immediate. You inherited it. We won't risk another silver blood purge. They exiled her that night. No supplies, no protection, only the clothes she wore. And one warning. If you ever return, we'll kill you. So Ara ran. For 7 years she kept running. Ara. Kale's voice pulled her back. They had stopped. He watched her closely. You left. Ara blinked. Where did you go? The past. Her voice was rough. It has teeth. Yes. Kale's expression told her he understood. It usually does. Her hands trembled inside his coat. Not from cold. From memory. Kale's gaze moved to her forehead. That mark is a silver blood seal. Ara stared at him. You know what I am? I know the stories. His jaw tightened. The silver bloods were said to descend from a line touched by the old moon, the first moon, before the gods divided power among the world. He stepped nearer. They could command silver fire. Some could take forms powerful enough to make even alphas bow. Ara swallowed. And they were hunted to extinction. 300 years ago. Not extinction. Kale looked at her. Obviously not. He moved closer. Some survived. They hid. Their descendants bred with ordinary wolves until the blood weakened through generations. His golden eyes remained fixed on hers. Sometimes ancient blood resurfaces. Ara gave a humorless laugh. Lucky me. Luck? Kale tilted his head. Or destiny. I already told you I don't believe in destiny. And I told you I don't either. His fingers hovered near her brand. But I believe in power. His eyes sharpened. And yours is extraordinary. Ara's shame returned instantly. It's uncontrollable. Untrained. Every time I shift, every time I feel too much, it takes over. Silver light flickered beneath her skin. I've hurt people, Kale. He did not offer easy reassurance. Instead, he asked, how many? Ara respected him for that. 3. The word hurt. The first was an alpha who tried to claim me 2 years ago. He assumed an omega would be easy to dominate. Her hands tightened. When he grabbed me, the silver fire burned him across the chest. She looked away. The second was a rogue who attacked me on the road. I tried to get away. He wouldn't stop. Her voice lowered. The fire consumed him. Kale remained silent. There was nothing left. Ara forced herself to continue. The third was a child. That was the memory that still destroyed her. A little girl got too close while I was trying to control a shift. The fire struck her arm. Her eyes burned. She lived, but Ara could still hear the girl's screams. After that, I stopped trying to shift. I stopped trying to be a wolf. Silence settled around them. Then Kale raised both hands and gently held Ara's face. She went still. Listen to me. His voice was fierce without being loud. You are not a monster. Ara's eyes filled. You are powerful. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. Those are not the same thing. He held her gaze. Power that harms because no one taught you how to use it is not evil. It's power without guidance. Tears rolled down Ara's face. Kale continued. The silver bloods weren't hunted because they were evil. His expression darkened. They were hunted because they couldn't be controlled. He spoke each word carefully. They answered to no pack hierarchy, no territory boundary, no ordinary authority. His eyes blazed. They were free. Ara stared at him, and that terrified everyone. So my ancestors died because they were powerful? They died because weak men fear what they cannot dominate. Something dangerous entered Kale's voice. And anyone who taught you to feel ashamed of your strength deserves what eventually comes to them. Hope moved inside Ara, small, painful, unfamiliar. Why do you care? She barely recognized her own voice. Kale's expression changed. Something vulnerable appeared and vanished almost instantly. Because I know what it's like. To be cursed? To be feared for something you never chose. Ara's chest tightened. To be called a monster by people who've never carried your power. Kale looked away for a moment. To spend your life being told you're too much. Too dangerous. Too broken to be loved. Ara studied him. They call you the Fury King. Yes. Because you can't control your rage. No. A bitter smile crossed his face. Because sometimes I choose not to. Something clicked into place. Kale recognized her because part of him lived beneath the same weight. What happened to you? For several seconds, Ara thought he would refuse to answer. Then he spoke. My father tried to kill me when I was 12. His tone became flat. He believed I had been cursed by the war god, that my rage would eventually destroy the pack. Ara stopped breathing. He chained me in silver and left me in the northern wastes to die. His jaw tightened. I survived. The golden light in his eyes intensified. 10 years later, I came back. A pause. I took his throne. Kale's expression hardened. And then, I took his life. Horror and understanding collided inside Ara. Kale, I'm not telling you for pity. He cut her off. I'm telling you because you need to understand something. He stepped closer. Power doesn't decide whether you're a monster. His gaze locked with hers. What you do with it does. Ara's breathing slowed. And right now, you're running from yours. I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. I can't control it. Then learn. His voice softened slightly. I can help you. Why? Ara needed an answer. Why would the Alpha King care this much about a cursed Omega he has never met? Kale became very still. When he finally answered, his voice dropped almost to a whisper. Because I lied about one thing. Ara's pulse quickened. The dreams didn't begin 6 months ago. Her body went cold. Kale? His eyes burned into hers. They began 23 years ago. Ara could not move. The night you were born. Her world tilted. I've been looking for you my entire life. That's impossible. Is it? Kale stepped back, as though he knew she needed room. The cave is close. He turned. We'll talk when you're warm. Ara followed because she had nowhere else to go. 23 years. He had dreamed of her since the day she was born. What kind of connection could exist before two people ever met? Her curse hummed quietly in his presence. Content. Almost relieved. Ara tried not to think the thought waiting at the edge of her mind. What if this was not coincidence? What if something had been pulling them toward each other all along? And if so, what exactly were they to each other? Chapter 4. The cave looked ordinary from outside. A dark opening in the mountainside, partially covered by frozen vines. The moment Kale stepped inside, Ara felt something change. Energy vibrated through the air. Her curse immediately responded. What is this place? Sanctuary. Kale led her deeper. One of the old places. It existed before packs divided the land into territories. Ara followed, partly because she had no alternative. Partly because the cave seemed to be calling her. The narrow tunnel opened into an enormous chamber. Ara stopped. Ancient symbols covered the walls. They had been carved deep into stone and glowed with faint silver light from within. At the center stood a massive altar made from black granite. A shallow basin had been cut into its surface. Power radiated from it. Old. Primal. Older than the gods whose names Ara knew. What is this? A shrine to the old moon. Kale's voice echoed through the chamber. This is where the earliest wolves came to connect with the source of shifter magic. Ara looked at the symbols. She could not read them, yet some deeper part of her recognized them. Silver light appeared beneath her skin. I shouldn't be here. She backed away. This is sacred. Kale came to her side. You are exactly where you need to be. Fear tightened her throat. Look at the symbols. I can't. Really look. His hand found hers. Warmth anchored her. Sarah lifted her eyes. At first she saw meaningless lines. Then the curse flared. Silver fire illuminated the chamber. Suddenly, the markings became words. A story. A prophecy. When the old blood rises, when silver fire walks the earth, when fury and flame are bound, the first moon shall remember its children. Ara's breathing quickened. Another passage revealed itself. Two halves of what was broken. Rage without mercy. Power without control. Only together can they stand. Only together can they heal what was sundered. No. Ara shook her head. This is mythology. Then why can you read it? Kale's question silenced her. The silver fire in her body pulsed in rhythm with the walls. Another warning appeared. Beware the union of fury and flame, for they will either save the world or burn it to ash. Era tore her gaze away. You brought me here intentionally. Yes. You knew this would happen. I suspected. Why? Kale faced her. Because you needed to understand what you are. He hesitated. And what we might be. Don't. Ara backed away. Don't say it. Fated mates. The words seemed to alter the air. Ara shook her head violently. No. The prophecy calls us fury and flame. Fated mates are rare. She struggled to breathe. And they're supposed to be something beautiful. Something sacred. Her voice broke. Not a cursed Omega and a king everyone calls fury. Why not? Because look at us. Ara's fear turned into anger. You admitted you can't always stop your rage. I can't control my fire. We're both dangerous. She stepped backward. If we're truly bound together, we'll destroy each other. Maybe. Kale advanced. Or maybe we're the only two wolves strong enough to survive each other. He stopped close enough that Ara could feel his warmth. Tell me you don't feel something. She could not. Tell me your power doesn't react when I'm near. Her silence answered him. Tell me you haven't wondered why I found you out of every wolf in every territory. Ara's wolf surged. The creature she had suppressed for 7 years wanted him near. This will end badly. Probably. Kale cupped her cheek. But I've spent my life dreaming of you. His voice grew rough. I saw silver fire before I even knew what it meant. I woke with your name in my mind. He stared at her. And now you're real. His thumb moved over her cheekbone. I'm not letting you go just because we might burn. A glow spread through the room. Kale looked toward the altar. Ara followed his gaze. The carved symbols had brightened. The basin began to fill. Not with water, with liquid moonlight. Ara stared. What is happening? The shrine is waking. Kale sounded almost awed. It hasn't done this for centuries. The liquid light overflowed and moved across the stone floor. Instead of pooling, it formed new symbols. Ara began walking toward it. She did not decide to move. Something was pulling her. A voice without sound reached through her bones. Come, daughter of silver. Come and remember. Ara, concern sharpened Kale's voice. But her hands were already reaching toward the basin. Her fingertips touched the liquid light. The world vanished. Ara stood in another forest. Ancient trees stretched toward a silver moon, larger than any she had ever seen. The moon seemed alive, singing. You've come at last. Ara turned. A woman stood behind her, tall, regal. Silver hair reached her waist. Her eyes burned with the same fire as Ara's. Who are you? I am what you may become if you survive. The woman smiled sadly. My name is Selenara. She stepped closer. The first of the silver bloodline. Ara stared. Your ancestor. Your burden. Your blessing. I don't understand. You will. Selenara's body was not fully solid. She seemed woven from moonlight and memory. Our bloodline was never created to be weak. Her silver eyes intensified. We were champions of the old moon, born to restore balance when power became too concentrated. Ara listened. The Rage Kings were our counterparts. Her heart jumped. Alphas born with fury powerful enough to reshape kingdoms. Our lines balanced each other. Fury and flame. Always. Selenara's expression hardened. Until fear destroyed both. Ara remembered the stories. You were hunted. Killed. Selenara did not look away. Other packs feared what they could not control. They convinced themselves our power was unnatural. She looked toward the silver moon. They destroyed us. Then why am I here? Selenara faced her. Because you are the first true silver blood born in 3 centuries. Ara's pulse stopped. And him? Selinara looked past her. Ara turned. Kale stood across the clearing. Golden energy surrounded him. Wild, primal, powerful. He is the first true Rage King in just as long. Selinara's voice softened. The old moon has waited for both of you. Ara shook her head. This is too much. You have always known each other. No. Soul calls to soul. Selinara touched Ara's shoulder. The bond does not begin at first meeting. It begins when life begins. Ara looked toward Kale. 23 years of dreams. I can't do this. You are stronger than you know. Selinara's expression became serious. But the bond is still a choice. Ara looked at her. Fate offers. It does not force. What if I refuse? You continue living. Selinara did not soften the truth. Perhaps alone, perhaps still running. And if I accept? Selinara smiled. Then you will burn. Ara's stomach tightened. You will burn brightly enough for gods to remember your name. Her smile turned almost fierce. But you will not burn alone. Ara tore her hands from the basin. The cave slammed back into existence. She gasped. Kale immediately caught her shoulders. What did you see? Everything. Silver light poured from Ara now. The brand on her forehead glowed. Not with pain. With power. The prophecy is real. Kale stared at her. I know. Ara looked up sharply. What? I saw it too. Shock filled his expression. When you touched the altar, I saw Selinara. He swallowed. And Malachi, my ancestor, the first Rage King. Ara understood then. The vision had not belonged only to her. This burden belonged to both of them. Fury and flame. Her legs gave out. Kale caught her and lowered them both to the floor. This isn't what a fated bond is supposed to feel like. Ara's voice sounded numb. They're supposed to be gentle. Most fated pairs don't descend from bloodlines created as weapons. I don't want to be a weapon. Kale's voice softened. Neither do I. I want to be normal. Normal ended the night you first shifted. The words hurt because they were true. You can't keep running from yourself. Ara looked down. I'm afraid. Good. Kale's arms tightened around her. So am I. Ara looked at him in disbelief. You're the Fury King. A bitter smile appeared. What could you possibly fear? Harming you. His answer came immediately. Failing you. His eyes searched hers, discovering that everyone who ever called me a monster was right. Ara saw him then. Not the king, not the legend, the man, just as frightened of his own power as she was. What do we do now? Kale was quiet, then resolve settled into his expression. Now we stop running. He touched her face. Both of us. He looked around the ancient chamber. We learn whether this bond makes us stronger. A dangerous edge entered his voice. Or whether the prophecy is right and we burn everything around us. Ara closed her eyes. Silver fire hummed through her veins. Kale's warmth surrounded her. The old moon seemed to watch from somewhere beyond the stone. Fury and flame. Okay. Ara opened her eyes. I'll try. For the first time in 7 years, she felt hope. Tiny, fragile, terrifying, but alive. Around them, ancient symbols pulsed with silver light, as though the world itself had begun waiting to see whether fury and flame would rise together or fall. Chapter 5. Ara woke to pale light entering the cave. For several seconds, she simply listened to herself breathe. Steady. Calm. She had slept without nightmares. That alone felt impossible. Kale stood near the entrance. He looked as though he had not slept at all. You're awake. How long? 6 hours. Ara sat up. Her wounds had already begun healing more quickly than ordinary injuries. One benefit of the bloodline everyone called cursed. Then she noticed Kale's tension. What happened? We need to move. Why? The hunters reported everything. He turned toward her. Their council contacted mine. Cold settled in Ara's stomach. Your council knows about me? They do now. His jaw tightened. And they aren't pleased that their king publicly claimed a cursed Omega. You didn't claim me. Kale's eyes found hers. Didn't I? Ara went still. I told witnesses you were mine. He exhaled. In wolf law, that statement is nearly a blood oath. Ara understood the implication. Claiming, protection, possession, a step dangerously close to accepting a mate bond. You didn't ask me. I know. Frustration crossed Kale's face. I wasn't thinking. I saw you at that cliff, bleeding, surrounded by hunters, and something inside me reacted. He looked away. What's done is done. Ara waited. My council demands that I bring you to the capital. For what? A trial. Ara almost laughed. A trial for existing? The old laws still recognize the silver blood mark as a capital offense. Her hand rose to her forehead. Then why give me a trial? Because they cannot openly defy their king. Kale's eyes darkened. They want to force me into a public choice. Between me and your throne. Yes. Ara swallowed. And what will you choose? Kale crossed the chamber. He dropped to one knee so his face was level with hers. I would burn my throne into ash before I let them touch you. Ara stared at him. You don't mean that. I do. His fingers brushed her cheek. You are my fated mate. The words hit differently now, that the shrine had shown them both the same truth. And even if the prophecy were wrong, I wouldn't hand you over to be slaughtered. You barely know me. Kale's expression sharpened. I've known something was missing my entire life. He touched her hand. The dreams, the visions, the sense of searching for someone. His voice softened. It was always you. Ara wanted to trust the promise, but experience had taught her how quickly promises collapsed beneath fear. They'll turn on you. Let them. They'll challenge your right to rule. Kale smiled. It was not pleasant. I didn't win my throne through political support. Gold appeared in his eyes. I won it in blood. A howl echoed outside. Then another. Kale immediately turned. They're here. Who? Council enforcers. He pulled Ara to her feet. How many? Enough. Outside, a magically amplified voice boomed through the mountains. Alpha King, come out. Bring the cursed one with you. The council demands an audience. Kale's wolf surged close to the surface. Stay behind me. Kale. Trust me. Ara did. That frightened her more than anything. They walked toward the entrance. Outside waited dozens of wolves. Several radiated alpha power. At their center stood an older man with silver hair, pale eyes, and battle scars. Kale stopped. Elder Rowan. The elder's attention fixed on Ara. You're harboring a criminal, my king. The council sent you all this way to tell me? The silver blood law has existed for 300 years. Rowan's expression remained cold. Even a king cannot overturn it without council approval. And you'll never give that approval. No. Rowan smiled thinly. We will not risk another silver blood purge because our king became distracted by a pretty Omega. Kale growled. Watch your tongue. Rowan stepped forward. Or what? You'll threaten your own council? His eyes hardened. Your father would be ashamed. The temperature around Kale seemed to change. My father tried to murder his own son. His voice dropped. I killed him for it. Gold burned in his eyes. Keep testing me, Rowan. Ara could feel violence gathering. She stepped from behind Kale. Please. Kale reached for her. She moved beyond his hand. Don't make him choose between me and his people. Ara. She faced Rowan. I know what you think I am. Her knees wanted to shake. She forced herself upright. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm dangerous. She glanced at Kale. But he's protected these territories for 10 years. Don't tear everything apart because of me. How noble. Rowan's contempt cut through the clearing. But nobility doesn't change blood. He pointed at her. You're an abomination. Kale's voice interrupted him. She is not an attachment. Silence followed. Kale stepped beside Ara. She is my fated mate. The clearing erupted. Impossible. She bewitched him. The curse has corrupted the king. Enough. Kale's alpha command crashed over them. Wolves dropped to their knees. Ara felt the pressure, but it did not force her down. The bond protected her from his dominance. Rowan forced himself upright. You claim that thing as your mate? I claim Ara as my fated mate. Kale did not hesitate. The old moon bound us. Rowan laughed bitterly. Prophecies? Ancient myths? Have you lost your mind? Kale pulled Ara gently closer. Then explain her mark. Silver light burned through the brand. Explain why a silver blood seal is glowing. Murmurs spread among the wolves. Explain why the old moon shrine woke after 3 centuries. Uncertainty finally entered Rowan's expression. Then he hardened again. It changes nothing. His gaze returned to Ara. If anything, the bond makes her more dangerous. The prophecy speaks of balance, Kale said. It speaks of destruction. It speaks of both. Rowan stared at him. And you would risk every wolf under your rule on an ancient prophecy? Yes. Kale's answer was immediate. I've spent my life being told my fury made me a monster. His hand closed around Ara's. Now I've found someone who carries the same burden. He looked directly at Rowan. I won't let you murder her for being what I am. Then you choose her over your people. I choose truth over fear. Kale straightened. And if that costs my throne, so be it. Rowan's face hardened. Then, so be it. He raised his hand. By my authority as High Elder, I declare Alpha King Kale unfit to rule. Ara's stomach dropped. I invoke the right of challenge. The law was ancient, brutal. At sunset, any Alpha could challenge Kale for his throne. Not once. Again and again until he defeated every challenger or died. Rowan smiled. When you fall, the silver blood dies with you. Kale moved before Ara even saw him begin. One moment he stood beside her. The next, Rowan hung from his hand, Kale's fingers around the elder's throat. Gold power exploded from Kale's body. Touch her. His voice barely sounded human. Touch her, and I will cover this mountain with your blood. He released Rowan. The elder crashed to the ground. Kale turned away from him. Can you run? Ara stared. If we leave now, they'll hunt us forever. Then we run forever. He cupped her face. I won't give you to them. Kale, you can't sacrifice your kingdom for me. They stopped being my people when they demanded your death. He pressed his forehead against hers. Come with me. Behind them, Rowan called out. You have until sunset, run if you want. When the sun goes down, face the challenge grounds, or be hunted as enemies. Ara looked at Kale. Every path seemed to end in death. Unless... What if I fight? Kale froze. No. The challenge exists because they consider me the threat. No. What if I accept the challenges? Absolutely not. His voice became iron. You have no formal combat training. They're going to destroy both of us anyway. Ara gripped his arms. If I fight, you can keep everything you built. Everything I built means nothing without you. The rawness in his voice silenced her. And I can't watch you die for me, she whispered. Tears filled her eyes. I've spent 7 years afraid of my power. Silver light appeared beneath her skin. Maybe it exists for a reason. Ara, I'm not asking permission. She straightened. At sunset, I enter the challenge grounds. Kale stared at her. The council won't allow it. Then make them. For several seconds, anguish and fury crossed his face. Then Kale did something no one expected. He knelt. Every wolf in the clearing went silent. An Alpha King did not kneel. Not before elders. Not before rivals. Not before anyone. Kale looked up at Era. If you do this, you do not fight alone. His eyes burned gold. Whatever happens there, I'm with you. Ara's throat tightened. Fury and flame. Yes. Kale rose. Then he faced Rowan. You want blood? His voice rolled across the clearing. You'll have your challenge. He pointed toward Ara. At sunset, Ara of Silver Blood stands in the challenge grounds. Any wolf who believes she has no right to exist may face her. The council stared. But understand this. Kale's eyes blazed. She does not fight alone. He smiled with all the danger of the Fury King. Break combat law, overwhelm her unfairly, or attempt another execution disguised as justice, and I'll remind every wolf here exactly why they gave me that name. Rowan could not reject the challenge without violating the very law he had invoked. Sunset, he said. We'll see whether the cursed one bleeds silver or red. The council withdrew. When Era and Kale were alone again, fear finally broke through her resolve. I'm terrified. Good. Kale pulled her against him. Fear means you understand the danger. Ara looked up. Teach me. His expression changed. We have 10 hours. Her voice steadied. Teach me how to fight. Kale studied her for a long time. Then he nodded. 10 hours to turn a wolf who spent 7 years running into one willing to stand. His hand cupped her face. All right. They returned to the cave. Not to hide. To prepare. Chapter 6. The first hour was brutal. Kale showed no mercy, merely because Era was exhausted. Inside the sanctuary, he removed his shirt and took a fighting stance. Attack me. Ara stared. I don't know how. You've survived 7 years while wolves hunted you. His expression remained calm. You've fought. You just never called it training. Ara lunged. Kale sidestepped. He caught her wrist and redirected her momentum. She stumbled. Again. Ara attacked. Failed. Again. Failed. Her frustration grew. Silver light flickered beneath her skin. Kale smiled. Good. Good? Use it. I can't control it. Stop trying to control it. He moved toward her. Direct it. Ara hesitated. The curse isn't separate from you. Kale held her gaze. It is you. No. Your wolf is trying to protect you. She's dangerous. So am I. His smile sharpened. Tonight, dangerous may keep you alive. Kale came toward her quickly. Instinct seized Ara. She raised both hands. Silver fire burst from her palms. But instead of exploding across the chamber, it struck forward in a concentrated wave. Kale stopped. Silver flames danced around his body without harming him. There. Pride entered his voice. There's my flame. They repeated the exercise until Ara could summon smaller bursts on purpose. Sometimes too much power came. Sometimes nothing came. But for the first time, progress existed. During a brief rest, Kale watched her. You're still holding back. Because every time I stop holding back, someone gets hurt. Usually someone trying to hurt you. That doesn't make it harmless. No, Kale did not lie. But defense and destruction are not the same thing. Ara looked down at her shaking hands. When the fire takes me, I stop thinking. Because you've spent years treating your wolf like an enemy. He sat nearer. Talk to her. Ara frowned. My wolf. Stop suppressing her long enough to listen. You make that sound easy. It isn't. Kale leaned back. It took me 15 years to understand my own fury. Ara studied him. I thought the rage was destroying me. His expression grew distant. Eventually I realized it was trying to keep me alive. Is that how you control it? I don't control it. He gave a humorless smile. I work with it. He looked at his hands. I give it boundaries. I allow it out when necessary. His jaw tightened. Most of the time. And when you can't, people sometimes die. The honesty hurt more than a comforting lie would have. Does that ever become easier? No. Kale looked at her. But you become stronger. After the rest, he taught her partial shifting. His fingers lengthened into claws. His teeth sharpened. This gives you a wolf's strength without sacrificing your human mind. Ara tried. Pain shot through her. Her bones began changing, then stopped halfway. Breathe. Kale steadied her shoulders. Don't force it. It took 6 attempts. Then claws finally extended from Ara's fingertips. Her eyes burned silver. She stared at her hands. I did it. You did. Kale smiled. Now learn to use them. He taught her to slash, parry, move, use speed rather than size. Most wolves expect omegas to submit. He corrected her stance. Use their arrogance. That's brutal. That's survival. His gaze became serious. Tonight they will enter that arena believing you're easy prey. He stepped back. Make the first few regret that assumption quickly enough that everyone waiting behind them begins to hesitate. I don't want them to fear me. Kale softened. I know. Then he said, but fear has followed your bloodline for centuries. Either you learn to wield it, or it continues wielding you. During the 5th hour, they stopped to eat. Kale had brought dried meat, bread, and water. Every muscle in Ara's body hurt, but the pain felt different from the injuries she had suffered while running. This pain meant she was preparing. Tell me about clear water, Kale said. Ara's appetite disappeared. Why? Because you need to remember why you're fighting. Ara was quiet. My parents were ordinary wolves. She stared at the food in her hands. They didn't know about the bloodline. What happened after your shift? The elders discovered a great-great-grandmother had been silver blood. Ara gave a bitter laugh. She had hidden it and married into an ordinary pack, hoping the blood would disappear. It didn't. No. Kale watched her. What happened to your parents? Ara swallowed. They were exiled with me initially. Hope flickered in Kale's expression, then vanished as Ara continued. The council offered them a choice. Her voice broke. Renounce me and return, or remain banished. Kale became still. They went back. They abandoned you. They survived. Ara. I don't blame them, but the lie sounded weak. The pack was everything they knew. She stared toward the cave wall. And after my shift, maybe I wasn't their daughter anymore. Kale moved closer. You were. No. You became more fully yourself. His voice turned fierce. Anyone who couldn't love that version of you did not deserve you. Ara's eyes burned. You don't know enough about me to say that. Don't I? Kale took her hand. I know you spent 7 years running and almost never struck first. His thumb moved across her palm. I know you offered your own life this morning rather than watch me lose my throne. His eyes held hers. I know you're brave. Ara tried to look away. Kind, she could not. And stronger than you understand. His voice lowered. And I know I'd rather burn everything than lose you. Kale. I mean it. Something raw entered his face. Whatever happens tonight, you need to know one thing. He pulled her closer. You are not alone anymore. That broke something inside Ara. Tears came. Kale wrapped his arms around her. Ara cried for the pack that branded her, for the parents who chose safety, for 7 years spent alone, for every road she had taken while looking behind herself, for the girl she might have become if fear had not defined her life. Kale said nothing. He simply held her. When Ara finally pulled away, she asked the question still haunting her. Why are you really doing this? I told you. Not just the bond. She shook her head. Wolves have rejected fated mates before. Kale became quiet. Then he spoke. When my father chained me in the northern wastes, I was 12. Ara listened. Part of me still believed I could become good enough for him. His expression hardened with an old pain. Calm enough, normal enough. He looked toward the cave floor. I spent 3 weeks in those silver chains. Ara's chest tightened. No food, almost no water. The silver kept my wolf from healing. Kale. The physical pain wasn't the worst part. He looked at her. The worst part was knowing the person meant to protect me had decided I wasn't worth saving. Ara knew that wound. But I didn't die. Gold flickered in his eyes. My rage saved me. His mouth twisted. The very thing my father feared burned through the chains. He took Ara's hand and pressed it against his chest. His heart beat beneath her palm. That's why. Ara looked up. I see myself in you. His voice softened. The child told their power was a curse. He cupped her face. The wolf taught that being different meant being unworthy of love. His forehead touched hers. If I can help you believe your power is not evil, maybe I can finally believe the same thing about mine. Ara closed her eyes. You aren't broken. Neither are you. But we're both afraid we are. Yes. Kale's voice became fierce again. So we prove them wrong together. What if I fail tonight? Then we fail together. He kissed her forehead. And if we fall, we get up until we can't. Ara looked at him. I'm afraid of you. A small smile appeared. Good. She frowned. I'm afraid of you too. Why? Because you could destroy me. His thumb brushed her cheek. Not with fire. He looked into her eyes. With trust. Ara's heart tightened. With the possibility that I might become someone worthy of the way you look at me. You already are. Kale almost laughed. My hands are stained with blood. So are mine. Not like mine. Then maybe we're both afraid of being truly seen. Kale stared at her. Yes. They stayed close for a moment. Then he pulled away. We have 4 hours. Training resumed. Kale taught her where to strike without killing, how to use leverage, how to read shoulders, hips, and weight before an opponent attacked, how to move before strength could trap her. Eventually, Ara landed a hit. Her claws cut Kale's shoulder. Blood appeared. He grinned. Again, by the 9th hour, Ara stopped thinking through every movement. Her body reacted. Dodge. Strike. Turn. Counter. Silver fire followed her intention rather than her fear. For the first time in her life, Ara felt not cursed. Powerful. One more thing, Kale said when their remaining time grew short. Ara looked at him. If tonight goes wrong, promise me something. Her stomach tightened. What? If I tell you to run, you run. No. You don't stop for me. No. You don't turn around. Kale. His arms surrounded her from behind. I can survive losing a throne. His voice lowered near her ear. I can survive losing a kingdom. He tightened his hold. I cannot survive losing you. Ara turned. Then don't ask me to leave you behind. If it comes to your life or mine, choose yours. No. Think of it as staying alive long enough for me to find you. His gaze held hers. Because I will. Ara shook her head. Together. Ara. Together or not at all. Kale stared. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Not the dangerous smile of the Fury King. Something warm. Stubborn Omega. Impossible Alpha. And because the sun was lowering, because neither knew what the night would bring, and because they had run out of reasons to pretend the bond between them meant nothing, Kale kissed her. Softly at first. A question. Ara gripped his shirt and answered. The kiss deepened. Silver and gold light rose around them. The ancient symbols across the cave walls began to glow. For one brief moment, neither of them felt broken. When they separated, Kale rested his forehead against hers. Whatever happens, I don't regret this. Neither do I. Outside, sunset approached. So did blood. Chapter 7. The capital rose from the northern mountains like a fortress. Massive walls surrounded the city. Protective runes glowed across the stone. Watchtowers guarded every approach. At the highest point stood Kale's keep, dark and severe against the mountain. His home, his kingdom, and Ara was entering its heart to fight for the right to remain alive. They traveled the final distance hand in hand. The bond between them hummed constantly now. Ara could feel Kale beside her even without looking. That comfort carried a terrible truth. If she died, he would feel it. She refused to consider the opposite. The gates opened. Hundreds of wolves lined the streets, maybe thousands. Every eye followed their king and the cursed Omega beside him. Ara heard the whispers. Silver blood. Cursed. Abomination. Death walking. Don't listen, Kale murmured. They're afraid. They hate me. They hate what they've been taught to fear. His thumb moved over her hand. After tonight, that can begin to change. If I survive, you will. Ara almost smiled. You sound certain. I trained you. The challenge grounds appeared ahead. A massive circular arena had been cut into the mountainside. Rows of stone seating surrounded a floor stained dark by centuries of blood. Kings had won crowns here. Challengers had died here. Tonight, Ara would either earn recognition or become another body remembered by no one. At the entrance, Kale stopped. Last chance. Ara looked at him. We can leave. They'll hunt us. Yes. Ara shook her head. No more running. Pride and fear crossed his face. Then may the old moon help whoever stands against you. They entered. The crowd roared. Elder Rowan stood in the fighting ring with 6 council members. Alpha King Kale. His voice carried through magic. You came. I gave my word. Rowan's gaze shifted to Ara. Do you understand what you've agreed to, girl? Ara stepped forward. I understand I'm being judged for existing. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I understand your council wants me dead because you're afraid of my blood. Her gaze did not leave Rowan. And I understand you used an ancient law to force your king into this arena. She lifted her chin. Did I miss anything? The crowd reacted. Omegas did not usually speak to elders that way. Ara was done behaving like the Omega they expected. Rowan smiled. The rules are simple. He gestured toward the ring. Any wolf may challenge you, one at a time. Combat ends by submission, unconsciousness, or death. Ara listened. If you defeat every challenger, your right to live will be recognized. And if I lose? Rowan's false sympathy disgusted her. Then there will be no further problem. Kale stepped forward. If anyone violates combat law, I will kill them. Gold light flashed in his eyes. One-on-one, fair combat. Rowan bowed slightly. Of course. Ara knew he was lying. How many challengers? As many as stepped forward. Rowan turned toward the crowd. Any wolf who rejects the Silver Blood's right to live, come forward. For one heartbeat, no one moved. Then wolves began descending. Ara's stomach fell. 1, 5, 10, more. Dozens. 37, Rowan announced. 37. Ara had trained for 10 hours. She had learned how to survive one opponent, maybe several. 37 consecutive fights would destroy anyone. Kale came close. One word. His voice was low. We leave. Ara looked at the waiting challengers. They were already certain she would fail. I won't run. Kale's eyes burned. Then I'm here. The first challenger entered. Marcus of Iron Ridge. Young, strong, confident. He looked at Ara like an easy victory. Good. Kale had taught her to use that. Begin. Marcus charged. Ara moved. She sidestepped and slashed his shoulder with partially shifted claws. Blood appeared. Shock replaced his smile. Ara did not give him time to recover. Move. Strike. Evade. 3 minutes later, Marcus lay unconscious. The arena had gone silent. Ara looked toward Rowan. Next. The second fighter respected her enough not to underestimate her. That made him harder. 7 minutes. A cut across Ara's ribs. A split lip. She still won. The third was a female alpha. Precise. Ruthless. Ara almost lost. The alpha forced her down and nearly reached her throat. Silver fire burst from Ara just enough to blind her. The woman submitted. 4th. 5th. 6th. The fights continued. By the 10th, Ara's muscles screamed. Her healing tried to close wounds faster than they appeared. It failed. Her movements slowed. Kale's anger became impossible to ignore. This is madness. He faced Rowan. No wolf survives 37 consecutive fights. If she's what the prophecy claims, she'll survive, Rowan answered. And if not? Then perhaps she was never worthy. Ara straightened. Don't speak for me. Her voice was ragged. She made the silver fire burn brighter. I'm not finished. Kale looked at her. Everything in his expression begged her to stop, but he had promised to honor her choice. Send the next one, Ara said. 11, 12, 13. Numbers blurred. Survive. Move. Breathe. By the 20th challenge, instinct controlled her body. Silver fire became strength. By the 25th, the fire no longer felt like an outside force. It was Ara. By the 28th, challengers entered with fear instead of confidence. By the 31st, she barely resembled the frightened Omega who had run barefoot through the snow. Silver fire surrounded her like armor. Her eyes burned with power absent from the world for 3 centuries. The 34th challenger stepped into the ring. He looked at Ara, then stopped. I withdraw, the crowd shouted. 3 challengers after him withdrew as well. That left 1. Ara could barely remain upright. 1 fight. Just 1. The final challenger entered. Ara recognized him. Garrett. The alpha who had chased her to the cliff. He smiled. Hello again, cursed one. His voice was too low for the crowd. Something about the smile felt wrong. Did you really believe they'd let this be that easy? Ara's stomach tightened. What did you do? The council made a deal with me. Garrett circled her. 36 wolves exhaust you. His smile widened. Then I finish the job. Ara looked at his hands. Claws extended. Silver coated the tips. Her blood turned cold. That violates the spirit of the challenge. Not the written law. Garrett's face hardened. I'm not required to fight honorably. You're cheating. I'm being practical. He glanced toward Kale. Once you're dead, your king will eventually understand. Kale will kill you. Maybe. Garrett shrugged. You'll still be dead. He attacked. Ara tried to move. Her body did not respond quickly enough. Silver claws tore across her shoulder. Pain exploded. Ara screamed. The silver burned through skin and muscle like acid. Her healing stopped. She crashed to the ground. Ara! Kale's voice tore through the arena. Garrett stood above her. Any last words? Ara should have been afraid. Instead, rage filled her. Rage at the council. At Garrett. At every wolf who had decided she did not deserve life. Then another voice rose inside her. Selenara. You are not their shame. You are not their fear. You are fire. Fire does not beg. Ara's brand erupted with silver light. Garrett stepped back. Ara slowly lifted her head. You want to see cursed? Her voice echoed with something ancient. I'll show you cursed. Silver fire exploded. Not the controlled flames Kale had taught her. Not a defensive burst. 3 centuries of buried power erupted into the arena. Garrett screamed. Silver flame consumed him. Seconds later, nothing remained but ash. But the fire kept spreading. Wolves fled from the ring. Council members stumbled backward. Only one person moved toward Ara. Kale. He walked directly into the silver inferno. The flames parted around him. Ara. She could barely hear. Come back. She was drowning in power. Kale reached her. His hands closed around her face. Gold met silver. Fury met flame. The entire world became white. Then silence. Ara opened her eyes in Kale's arms. The fire was gone. Thousands of wolves stared. What happened? Her voice barely worked. You happened. Kale's expression was filled with awe and fear. Ara looked around. The arena was scorched. No spectator had been burned. Only Garrett. Somehow, at the final instant, fury and flame had balanced. Rowan stepped forward. His face was pale. The trials are complete. He swallowed. All challengers have been defeated. A pause. The council recognizes Ara of Silverblood's right to exist. Ara had won. Then Rowan continued. But there is another matter. Kale's expression darkened. What matter? The council recognizes that your bond exists. Ara's heart tightened. But we will not accept a Silverblood as queen. Kale went completely still. You passed the trial, Rowan told Ara. You earned your life. His eyes hardened. Not a place beside our king. The betrayal hurt more than any wound. You never intended to honor this. You proved exactly why we cannot allow you near the throne. Rowan faced Kale. Choose. Silence filled the arena. Your throne or your mate? No. Kale's answer was immediate. I reject the ultimatum. Then you reject your throne. Rowan's voice carried across the arena. Effective immediately. Kale is no longer Alpha King of the Northern Territories. Murmurs spread. Ara looked at Kale. He had lost everything because of her. I'm sorry. Don't be. His arms tightened around her. I meant every word. I can leave. No. Kale, we leave together. Rowan smiled. Guards, escort the former king and his cursed mate outside the capital. The crowd watched as Kale and Ara were forced toward the gates. Wolves who had once bowed to Kale now refused to meet his eyes. At the boundary, Ara whispered again, I'm sorry. Kale took her hand. I'm not. You chose wrong. He stopped. No. His golden eyes held hers. I chose you. The gates closed behind them. Ahead lay wilderness, exile, and wolves who would soon hunt them both. Chapter 8. 3 days in the wilderness changed something in Ara. She and Kale moved like ghosts, always listening, always watching their backs. The council had promised them time to leave the territory. Neither believed the promise would last. On the third night, they sheltered inside a cave. We can't run forever, Ara said. Kale built a small fire. When they corner us, we fight. Ara watched him. He had lost a throne, a kingdom, a life he had spent years building, and he had never blamed her. You should go back. Kale's hands stopped. Ara forced herself to continue. Tell them the bond influenced you. He slowly turned. Tell them you changed your mind. Kale's expression hardened. They might take you back. Say that again. Ara swallowed. You could still rule. Kale crossed the distance between them. You want me to return to the wolves who tried to execute you? I'm trying to give you your life back. You are my life. The words burst from him. Silver sparks jumped around Ara as her power reacted to his fury. Stop sacrificing yourself. He caught her face between his hands. Stop acting as though you aren't worth choosing. Ara's eyes filled. I lost nothing that mattered. A throne mattered. A throne is a chair. His voice cracked. A title is words. He looked directly into her. You are real. Ara could not speak. I don't know how to let someone choose me. I know. Kale wiped away her tears. So I'll keep doing it. His expression softened. Every day until you believe me. Ara leaned into him. His arms closed around her. When they separated, Kale suddenly turned toward the cave entrance. Every muscle tightened. They found us. How many? He listened. 10, maybe 12. Era felt her silver power stir. Focused. Ready. We can't keep running. Kale looked at her. Era stood. I'm silver blood. Silver light moved beneath her skin. You're a rage king. Her fear became determination. The prophecy says we're stronger together. Kale studied her. Maybe it's time we proved it. A dangerous smile appeared. You want to fight back. I want to stop being hunted. The hunters arrived moments later. 13 wolves surrounded the cave. A scarred female alpha stepped forward. The council offers mercy. Kale almost laughed. You may return for trial. She looked at Ara. The girl will be executed quickly. How generous, Kale said. The alpha's eyes glowed. You are outnumbered. Ara stepped forward. Yes. Silver fire rose across her arms. But you made one mistake. What? You assumed numbers would matter. The hunters shifted uneasily. You assumed we'd fight like ordinary wolves. Ara's voice carried into the forest. I'm silver blood. Kale moved beside her. He's fury. Ara's eyes burned. And we're done holding back. The alpha ordered the attack. Kale shifted while moving. Gold light exploded. His wolf emerged enormous. Twice the size of an ordinary alpha. Molten eyes. A growl that seemed to vibrate through the ground. 3 attackers struck him at once. Kale threw them aside. Ara did not fully shift. Silver fire poured from her body. She formed barriers. Whips. Chains of light. One attacker leaped toward her throat. A silver lash struck him from the air. Kale and Era moved together without instruction. He drove opponents toward her. She trapped them. When wolves pressed Ara, Kale became an impenetrable wall of golden fury. The battle ended within minutes. 12 hunters lay wounded but alive. Only their leader remained standing. She stared. What are you? Ara looked at the defeated wolves. What you made us. The woman backed away. The council will send more. Let them, Kale said. His voice rolled like thunder. We're finished running. You'll start a war. Kale's smile sharpened. The war started 3 centuries ago, when your laws decided certain bloodlines deserved death. His eyes blazed. We're only refusing to surrender anymore. The alpha fled. Ara watched her disappear. We fought back. Kale returned to human form. And we won together. Before either could say more, the ground trembled. Ara's silver fire reacted. Kale felt it too. This is like the shrine. Silver light appeared between the trees. Symbols formed across the earth around them. Ara understood. The old moon. The light intensified. It was waiting for us to stop running. The symbols surrounded them. Power erupted upward. The forest vanished. Ara and Kale stood once again beneath the impossible silver moon. This time, hundreds of figures waited. Ancient wolves. Different eras. Different packs. Selinara stood among them. Beside her was Malachi. You've done it, Selinara said. You claimed your power. Ara looked around. Where are we? The space between, Malachi answered. A place where the old moon watches. Kale narrowed his eyes. Are we being judged? Selinara smiled. No. She gestured. You're being offered a choice. Visions appeared. Ara and Kale living quietly in exile. Always hunted. Sometimes surviving. Sometimes dying. Then another future. A battlefield. Wolves standing behind them instead of against them. Territories united. Old laws rewritten. Bloodline no longer deciding worth. Ara saw herself wearing silver. Kale stood beside her in gold. Malachi spoke. The old moon offers the knowledge of your ancestors. Selinara continued. Not so you can hide. Her eyes grew fierce. So you can rebuild what fear destroyed. Ara stared. You want a revolution. We want you to finish what was interrupted 3 centuries ago. What if we refuse? Kale asked. You live. Malachi's answer held no judgment. Perhaps quietly. Still hunted, Ara said. Possibly. And the world stays broken. Yes. Ara looked at Kale. What do you want? He asked. She thought about 7 years of running. The brand. The child she had accidentally hurt. Every hunter. Every wolf told they were too dangerous to belong. I want to stop running. Her voice strengthened. I want to build a world where wolves like us don't have to apologize for existing. Selinara warned her. There will be war. I know. Lives may be lost. I know. You'll be hated. Ara almost smiled. I've survived that before. Selinara turned to Kale. And you? Kale did not hesitate. I stopped being their king when they demanded my mate's death. His hand found Ara's. I'll become something else. Malachi commanded them to kneel. They did. Selinara held a crown made of silver light. Do you accept the responsibility of your bloodline? Ara looked up. I do. The crown settled over her. Power flooded her, not uncontrolled. Not painful. Ancient knowledge. Strength. Memory. Malachi placed a crown of gold upon Kale. Do you accept the duty of the Rage Kings? I do. Gold exploded around him. Silver and gold intertwined. Rise, the ancestors commanded. Rise, fury and flame. Rise and rebuild what was broken. Ara and Kale stood. How do 2 wolves begin a revolution? Ara asked. Selinara smiled. You won't remain 2. Find the outcasts, Malachi said. Those rejected for being different. Those called dangerous. Those waiting for someone to prove another way is possible. The vision began fading. Before Selinara disappeared, she gave one final warning. The council believes exile weakened you. Her smile sharpened. Show them their mistake. Ara and Kale returned to the forest. Power moved through them differently now. Controlled. Purposeful. They were no longer prey. Kale looked at her. Where do we begin? Ara smiled. We go back. To the capital? Yes. Another war? Ara took his hand. Not the war they expect. Silver and gold met between their fingers. The outcasts stopped running. Kale's smile became fierce. A revolution. A reckoning. In the distance, wolves howled. This time, Ara and Kale did not flee. They answered. Chapter 9. The story spread faster than they could travel. The exiled Alpha King and the cursed Omega were no longer hiding. They were returning. And rumors claimed they were gathering others. Rogues whispered about them. Outcasts repeated the story around fires. The silver blood lives. The Fury King gave up his throne for her. They're challenging the old laws. For wolves who had spent their lives unwanted, the rumors offered something dangerous. Hope. Everywhere Ara and Kale traveled, more appeared. Omegas abused by powerful packs. Alphas exiled for refusing cruel orders. Betas whose unusual abilities frightened leaders. Wolves called too weak, too strong. Too strange, too difficult. They came cautiously. A scarred young woman approached Ara. Are you really going back? Yes. The council has armies. I know. They'll kill you. Maybe. Kale joined them. We're not asking anyone to conquer territory. What are you building? A coalition, Ara answered. Not a new pack? No. She looked around at the gathering wolves. A place where belonging isn't determined by dominance. Some doubted them. Wolves need hierarchy. Then we'll build a different structure, Kale said. Ruled through fear for 10 years. His expression hardened. It created obedience. Then he looked at Ara. Not trust. Ara spoke to the gathered outcasts. I believed I was a monster for 7 years. Silver light appeared across her arms. I believed power made me dangerous. She looked around. What I finally learned is that fear corrupts more easily than power. Her voice grew stronger. If being different makes me a monster, then fine. She lifted her chin. I'll be a monster who fights for every wolf the pack's discarded. The scarred woman stepped forward. I'm in. Others followed. 20. Then 50. Within 2 weeks, 100 wolves traveled with them. The scarred woman introduced herself as Mira. One night, Ara stood above the growing camp. Kale came behind her and wrapped his arms around her. Second thoughts? 100 of them. Ara leaned against him. We're asking these wolves to risk everything. We're offering a choice. Is there really a difference? Yes. Kale turned her toward the camp. Look. Ara saw laughter. An Omega teaching a Beta to fight. An Alpha helping a Rogue raise a tent. Wolves cooperating without rank deciding every interaction. This is what we're fighting for, Kale said. Ara watched them. They aren't following us. No, they're following an idea. And ideas survive people. Kale kissed her forehead. Even if we fail, this exists now. Before Ara could answer, activity erupted near the edge of camp. She immediately raised silver fire. Kale stepped forward. But no attack came. A group of wolves approached with raised hands. At their front stood 2 faces Ara had not seen in 7 years. Her parents. Ara forgot how to breathe. Her mother looked older, her father smaller somehow. Ara, her mother whispered, may we come closer? Every old wound reopened. Ara wanted to refuse. Kale took her hand. He did not decide for her. Why are you here? Her father stepped forward. Because we were wrong. Tears stood in his eyes. We chose fear over our daughter. You're 7 years too late. We know. Her mother's voice broke. We'll carry that shame forever. Then why come now? Because we heard what you're building. Her father looked toward the camp. We've watched other wolves suffer because of the same laws. He met her eyes. We can't undo what we did. His voice trembled. But maybe we can stop another parent from making our mistake. Ara wanted to hurt them with rejection. Part of her believed they deserved it. But she also remembered what kind of leader she had promised to become. You can stay. Hope appeared in her mother's face. But not as my parents. Ara's voice remained steady. Not yet. Her mother nodded. We understand. You'll earn that back if you can. Thank you. As they moved into camp, Kale leaned toward Ara. That was brave. That was terrifying. Usually the same thing. More wolves arrived, nearly 200. On the 15th day, a scout returned. The council knows you're coming. The camp became silent. They're calling allied packs. They think this is an invasion. It isn't, Ara said. We are returning. How do we convince them? We walk to the gates. Murmurs spread. Unarmed, Kale added. Someone protested. They'll slaughter us. Maybe, Kale said. Or maybe 200 wolves standing together will force them to see that the old order is already failing. And if they attack? Mira asked. Ara and Kale exchanged a look. We don't strike first, Kale said. We defend. Ara nodded. We show them we are not the monsters they created in their stories. Her silver eyes hardened. But if they try to kill us, we fight. That night, Ara lay beside Kale beneath the stars. Do you really think we can change the world? I think we already have. He held her closer. Look at the camp. Ara listened to distant voices and laughter. 200 wolves who might have died alone found each other. He kissed her hair. That is already change. Tomorrow could destroy it. Tomorrow can test it. Ara was quiet. If we die, we won't. If we do, she turned toward him. I need you to know I don't regret any of this. Kale's gaze softened. Neither do I. Even the trials? They led here. His hand cupped her face. And I haven't had nearly enough time to love you. Ara's heart tightened. So I intend to survive. She kissed him. At dawn, 200 wolves began walking toward the capital. No armor, no weapons, only a declaration made visible. Wolves lined roads as they passed. Some shouted insults, some threw stones. Others stared in silence, and some looked at Ara with something unmistakable: hope. The capital gates came into view. The council waited outside. 7 elders, guards, allied alphas, hundreds of wolves. Rowan stepped forward. You were granted exile. His voice carried. And you repay mercy by raising an army. Not an army, Kale answered. A coalition, Rowan sneered. Rogues and outcasts. Ara stepped forward. We didn't come to threaten you. Then why come? To offer a choice. Rowan stared. Ara let silver fire appear around her hands. Accept that power can exist in different forms. Her voice carried to the walls. Accept that being different does not automatically mean dangerous. And if we don't? Then we'll build elsewhere, Kale said. Every wolf you cast out will know there is somewhere else to go. It was partly a bluff. They did not yet have enough resources for an independent territory, but the council did not know that. Rowan's confidence flickered. You expect us to welcome you after what happened? No. Ara shook her head. We expect you to listen. She looked toward the wolves watching from the walls. I was branded because I was born different. Her silver mark glowed. How many of you hide gifts? Silence. Abilities? More silence. Parts of yourselves because you're afraid your own pack will reject you? Ara saw recognition in countless faces. We aren't here to overthrow you. She looked back at Rowan. We're here to prove another way is possible. Kale stepped beside her. No more exile for differences that cause no harm. His voice strengthened. No more execution because someone was born into the wrong bloodline. Another council member shouted, You expect us to erase laws that have stood for centuries? Yes, Ara answered. Because age does not turn injustice into wisdom. A voice came from the walls. She's right. Another followed. The old laws are broken. More joined. Rowan looked around. His control was slipping. You want change? He raised his voice. Then use lawful process. Council debate. Votes. Then let's vote, Mira called. The crowd reacted. Rowan stiffened. Now, someone shouted. Let the people choose. Kale looked at Rowan. Afraid of the answer? The crowd grew louder. Rowan consulted the other elders. Finally, he spoke. Fine. The noise dropped. A vote. He raised a hand. In 3 days. Both sides would be allowed to make their case. Then the wolves of the capital would decide. Kale nodded. Agreed. The gates opened. Ara and Kale entered the capital again. Not prisoners. Not rulers. Challengers. The streets parted before them. The world had not changed yet. But for the first time, Ara could feel that it truly might. Chapter 10. The 3 days before the vote felt endless. Ara and Kale were given rooms in the keep's eastern wing. Not Kale's former chambers. Smaller rooms. A message without words. Tolerated. Watched. Not welcomed. Guards remained outside constantly. They're afraid, Kale said on the second night. Ara joined him at the window. Fear makes wolves desperate. His hand found hers. What if they sabotage the vote? Then we expose it. What if they say I've manipulated people with silver blood magic? We've spent 3 days doing nothing except talking. Kale turned toward her. Listening. He squeezed her hand. If this territory chooses the council after hearing both sides, then we continue elsewhere. And if they choose us? Then we rebuild. A knock sounded. Kale immediately tensed. Mira entered. They're gathering already. Ara looked at her. The vote isn't for another hour. The square is packed. Mira's expression remained serious. Ara, you need to be prepared. For what? Half this city was raised to believe silver bloods are abominations. Ara nodded. 3 days may not undo 300 years. I know. If you lose, we have no real fallback territory yet. I know. They'll hunt us. Then we survive. Ara straightened. We adapt. Mira studied her. You've changed. 3 weeks ago I was alone. Ara looked toward Kale. I'm not anymore. Mira nodded. None of us are. Before leaving, she said quietly, whatever happens, thank you for that. Kale moved behind Ara and wrapped his arms around her. She was right. About what? You changed. So did you. Yes. His mouth brushed near her hair. You taught me that rage doesn't have to define what I am. Ara turned. Kale. He cupped her face. These last weeks have been the best of my life. Tears immediately appeared in Ara's eyes. Don't make this sound like goodbye. It isn't. His thumbs wiped her tears. But if something goes wrong, I want you to know. He looked directly at her. I spent 30 years existing. His expression softened. I started living the night I met you. Ara kissed him before he could say more. When they separated, she whispered, together. Always. The central square was overflowing. Thousands of wolves filled every available space. Windows, roofs, streets. A raised platform stood in the center. The 7 council members sat on one side. 2 chairs waited on the other. Ara and Kale climbed the platform. Noise rolled through the square. Rowan stood. People of the Northern Territories. Magic carried his voice. We are here to decide the future of our laws and leadership. He gestured toward Ara and Kale. These 2 argue that traditions protecting us for centuries must be dismantled. His tone turned dismissive. They offer a coalition of rogues and outcasts. He looked over the crowd. You must decide whether to trust 300 years of order or gamble your future on wolves who were exiled only weeks ago. Then his gaze settled on Ara. The silver blood may speak. The square went silent. Ara stood. Thousands of faces looked back. Her confidence nearly disappeared. Then she found Mira. Her parents. The coalition. Kale. 200 wolves who had already chosen hope. Ara stepped forward. My name is Ara. Her voice carried across the square. 7 years ago, my pack cast me out because I was born with power I couldn't control. She touched the brand on her forehead. They marked me cursed. The crowd remained silent. They told me I was too dangerous to exist. Ara paused. And I believed them. She looked across the thousands. I spent 7 years running. Her throat tightened. Hiding. A breath. Apologizing for being alive. Silver light appeared beneath her skin. Every time I used my power, even in self-defense, I believed I was proving them right. She looked at Kale. Then I learned something. Her voice strengthened. Power does not make someone a monster. A ripple moved through the crowd. Being different does not make someone dangerous. She lifted her head. And being rejected does not make someone unworthy. The silver fire brightened. The council calls me cursed. Ara looked toward Rowan. But what exactly is a curse? She spread her hands. Power that doesn't fit their hierarchy? Silver flame danced harmlessly across her fingers. Strength that cannot easily be dominated? Her voice rose. Or simply being born as something they did not expect. Ara faced the crowd again. I am silver blood. The words no longer carried shame. My ancestors were hunted because their power frightened other wolves. Rowan's face hardened. The council says that proves they were dangerous. Ara shook her head. I say it proves everyone else was afraid. A murmur spread. How many of you hide gifts? Ara asked. How many suppress power because you fear exile? More faces changed. How many watched friends, children, or family members disappear because they did not fit? Silence answered. But this silence was different. It held memory, pain. The old system teaches that power must be controlled through fear. Ara's voice steadied. I've spent the last 3 weeks living with wolves the packs threw away. She pointed toward the coalition. Omegas, alphas, betas, rogues, wolves with gifts others feared. She looked across them. They did not destroy each other. Her expression softened. They built something. Ara faced Rowan. You should fear what we've proven. His eyes narrowed. Not because we're monsters. Her silver fire intensified. Because our existence proves your system is not the only way wolves can live. She touched the brand again. So yes. Ara smiled faintly. I was cursed. A pause. But not by my blood. Her voice rang across the square. I was cursed by a world that taught me to hate myself for being powerful. Silver fire blazed around her. And I'm finished accepting that. She took one step forward. I am silver blood. Another. I am powerful. Another. I am different. Her voice became absolute. And I am not sorry. The square erupted. Some wolves cheered. Others shouted angrily. Rowan rose. Pretty words don't erase the fact that you're dangerous. You mean because I killed Garrett? He died in your fire. He attacked me with silver claws designed to kill my bloodline. Ara did not retreat. I defended myself. You're unstable. I'm untrained. She held his gaze. There's a difference. Rowan's jaw tightened. The silver bloods were hunted until no one remained to teach their descendants. Ara continued. You destroyed the knowledge that could have helped wolves like me control our power. She pointed toward the brand, then blamed us for not knowing how. Before Rowan answered, Kale stood. My turn. The square quieted. Kale faced the people he had ruled for a decade. I was your king. His voice carried without hesitation. I took this throne through blood. Some wolves lowered their eyes. I ruled through fear. Ara watched him. For 10 years I called that strength. Kale paused. I was wrong. The confession stunned the crowd. I demanded obedience and mistook it for respect. Gold light appeared in his eyes. I treated compassion as weakness. His gaze found Ara. Then I met an Omega who had spent 7 years running because the world convinced her that her power made her evil. He looked back at the people. She reminded me of something I'd forgotten. His voice deepened. Real strength isn't always the ability to destroy. Gold energy surrounded him. Sometimes strength is choosing mercy when violence would be easier. His eyes flashed. Understanding when judgment is easier. A pause. Love when hatred is easier. Kale stood taller. I am a rage king. The crowd stirred. My father tried to kill me because he feared what I might become. Gold power rippled around him. For most of my life, I believed my fury made me a monster. He looked at Ara. She didn't. Ara's chest tightened. She looked at my rage and saw strength. His voice softened. She saw everything broken in me and stayed. Then he turned toward the people again. The council says the old laws make you safe. His expression hardened. Safe from what? No one answered. Change? He took a step forward. Wolves who don't fit? Another. Power that cannot be easily controlled? Kale's voice became sharper. I spent 10 years keeping order by keeping many of you afraid. He looked over the square. I cast out wolves who challenged structures I believed were necessary. Regret crossed his face. I'm finished doing that. He extended his hand toward Ara. Vote for the council if you want the old system. Ara took his hand. Vote for fear if that is what you believe keeps you safe. Gold and silver touched. But vote for us if you believe wolves can build something better. The square was silent. If you believe outcasts still have value. Kale looked across thousands of faces. If you're tired of fear deciding who deserves to belong. Rowan stepped forward. Inspiring. His voice was cold, but naive. He addressed the crowd. What happens when this coalition fractures? He looked at Kale. When alphas demand dominance. At Ara. When dangerous powers lose control. Ara answered. We work through it. Rowan almost laughed. Like children imagining the world can survive without hierarchy? No. Kale's voice was firm. Like wolves who respect each other enough to communicate before dominating. Naive. Hopeful. Kale stared at Rowan. And that's what terrifies you. A voice shouted from the crowd. Vote! Another followed. Let us choose. Then dozens. Hundreds. Vote! Rowan looked at the other council members. They had lost control of the moment. Finally, he raised both hands. Very well. The square quieted. All who favor maintaining the council and existing laws, raise your claws. Hundreds rose. Hundreds rose. Then more. Ara's stomach tightened. Nearly half the square. Rowan turned. All who favor the coalition, raise your claws. For one terrible heartbeat, no one moved. Then one claw rose. Another. 10. 100. Thousands followed. Ara stopped breathing. There were many. But were there enough? The vote is close, Rowan announced. An official count is required. The next 20 minutes felt longer than the 7 years Ara had spent running. Officials moved through the crowd. Counted. Recounted. Verified. Ara held Kale's hand so tightly her fingers went numb. Finally, Rowan returned. His face was gray. The result? He swallowed. 2,847 votes for the council. Ara's heart hammered. And 2,941 for the coalition. For an instant, silence. Then the square exploded. They had won, by fewer than 100 votes. But they had won. Ara's knees weakened. Kale caught her. He was shaking too. Rowan raised his voice above the celebration. The people have spoken. Every word seemed painful. Effective immediately, the old council is dissolved. He paused. New leadership will be established through the coalition. Mira reached Ara first. Tears covered her scarred face. You did it. Ara pulled her into an embrace. We did it. Wolves surged toward them. Outcasts crying. Laughing. Unable to believe something they had never dared imagine had happened. Then Ara felt the ground move. She stopped. Kale's hand closed around hers. Do you feel that? Yes. A crack appeared in the center of the square. Wolves backed away. The earth opened. Not violently. Deliberately. Stone stairs descended into darkness. Silver and gold light pulsed from below. A voice entered Ara's bones. Come. The old moon calls its champions. The first trial is complete. The true test has only begun. Ara looked at Kale. We should. Together. They descended. The stairs went impossibly deep. At the bottom waited another chamber resembling the old moon sanctuary, but this one was filled with figures. Selenara, Malachi, and dozens of others. You passed the first test, Selenara said. Ira stared. First? Malachi smiled. Did you believe one vote in one wolf territory would change the entire world? Other figures stepped forward. They carried symbols Ira did not recognize. The wolf territories are only one part, said a woman with emerald eyes. There are other shifters, another added. Ara looked at Kale. How many? 7 major shifter races, Malachi answered. Each with its own territories. Selenara continued. Each with its own ancient laws, prejudices, outcasts, and they've been watching you. Ara's heart sank. Why? To see whether fury and flame could truly unite. Selenara looked directly at them. Now they want to know whether you'll help them. Kale's expression tightened. You want us to carry this revolution beyond wolves. Yes. Ara almost laughed from exhaustion. We just finished one war, and others are coming. A figure stepped forward. Some will join you. Another spoke. Some will test you. A third added, some will attempt to destroy what you've built before it spreads. Malachi's expression became grave. Rest while you can. Selenara nodded. Celebrate what you won. Her silver eyes held Ara's. Because the battle that may decide the future of every shifter has not begun yet. The chamber faded. Ara and Kale were suddenly back in the square. No time seemed to have passed. Celebration still surrounded them. Ara stared at Kale. That happened. Yes. He exhaled. It did. This isn't over. Not even close. Fear rose inside Ara. Kale. I'm terrified too. He pulled her closer. Then his voice softened. We can stop. Ara looked up. We could stay here, build what we've won. For one moment, she wanted that. Safety. Home. Peace. Then she saw Mira. Her parents. Hundreds of outcasts celebrating because they finally belonged. And she imagined others still running through forests as she once had. No. Kale watched her. We don't stop. Ara's voice strengthened. We take this to every territory that needs it. Even knowing what it may cost? Especially knowing. She took Kale's hand. We aren't doing this for a crown. No. For ourselves. No. We're doing it because someone has to. Kale smiled. Because we're fury and flame. And we don't run anymore. They kissed in the middle of the celebration. Two wolves once called broken standing at the edge of a much larger conflict. When they separated, Kale rested his forehead against hers. Ready to change the world? Ara laughed softly. I don't think the world is giving us another option. There is always a choice. Then I choose this. Her eyes glowed silver. I choose us. She looked around. I choose every outcast who still thinks they don't deserve to exist. Months later, the coalition had grown beyond 1,000 wolves. They established territory in neutral land between 3 major packs. Homes rose. Schools. Training grounds. Sanctuary for wolves who had nowhere else. But each week brought new stories. More exiles. More hunted bloodlines. More resistance from old powers terrified by what the coalition represented. Then one night, a stranger came to the gates. She was not a wolf. Scales marked parts of her skin. Her eyes glowed like molten copper. A dragon shifter. I need your help. Ara and Kale listened. My people are being hunted. The woman's voice shook. Cast out. Her eyes met Ara's. We heard what you built here. Ara hesitated. We're still building. I know. The dragon shifter stepped closer. But our councils have heard about your revolution. Fear crossed her face. They're afraid it will spread. Kale asked. How many have been exiled? Hundreds that we know about. She swallowed. Possibly thousands hiding. Hope entered her eyes. If you help us unite, this could change more than one race. Ara looked at Kale. They had only just found stability. Only just begun building peace. And already the next conflict stood at their door. But the old moon had warned them. This won't be easy, Ara said. Nothing worth doing is. We could fail. The dragon shifter gave a broken smile Ara recognized immediately. Then we fail together. Ara looked across the territory. Outcasts training. Families building homes. Wolves laughing without looking over their shoulders. Then she looked at Kale. He was beside her. As always. Okay. Ara faced the dragon. We'll help. Hope transformed the woman's expression. We'll take what we learned here to your people. Ara's silver eyes brightened. We'll fight for those being hunted. The dragon bowed. Thank you. You don't need to explain what it means. Kale's voice softened. We've lived it. After the dragon left to gather her people, Ara stood beside Kale, overlooking everything they had built. No rest for the wicked. Apparently not. He wrapped an arm around her. I'd still like a vacation with you someday. Someday. He kissed her temple. How long do you think changing all 7 shifter races takes? Years. Kale considered it. Decades, perhaps. Ara looked at him. That's a long time. We have time. His arms tightened around her. And we have each other. Ara watched the lights of their new territory. Do you really believe we can change everything? Kale turned her toward him. I think we already changed something that was supposed to be impossible. He glanced toward the homes below. The old powers are afraid because they know the idea is spreading. His golden eyes burned. They know outcasts are beginning to understand that rejection doesn't make them worthless. Ara smiled. So let them come. Kale's answering smile was wild. Let them. They'll fight. So will we. They'll call us monsters. They already did. Ara laughed. Kale pulled her closer. Fury and flame. Always. They kissed while the sun disappeared beyond the territory they had built together. 2 wolves once told they were too broken to love. Too dangerous to exist. Too cursed to deserve a future. They had proven those judgments wrong. And beyond their borders, in territories they had never seen, whispers were already spreading. Stories of a silver blood who stopped running. Stories of a rage king who chose her over his throne. Stories of outcasts who stood together and forced an old world to change. Hope moved through wolves who had forgotten how to feel it, then through other shifters. Hidden, rejected, hunted. They began to believe that being different did not automatically make them dangerous, that power did not make them monsters, that they might deserve somewhere to belong. The war was not over. It had barely begun. But this time, the outcasts were not running. This time, they were rising. And at the front stood Fury and Flame, side by side, ready for whatever came next.